joined by Kevin Millar, obviously terrific player. Played for a few teams, championship with the Red Sox, no doubt. And I tell you, I watch him and Rose daily. You know, if I don't catch him every day, I catch him at least 3 times a week. I think they have a lot of fun on that show. I'm a big fan of these guys. Hey, Kevin, it's Tiki and Tierney, Midas Tiki. What's happening, buddy? How are you today?
Brian, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Oh, good, man. All good. I like how you bust on Rose, keep him in his place. Kind of like Tiki does to me as the non-athlete. You guys have the flex juice card that we just can't match. We understand that.
Yeah,
you know?
You know what? Without you guys, we're not doing the show because you guys are awesome at what you do. So we got to act like we're really cool, but we're really not.
I hear you. We try to steer you into the fun waters, and then you guys take over. Let me run this first. We'll get to the – I mean, there's a lot of things to react to, obviously, but – between the Blue Jays, I don't know exactly what you expected from them. Seattle, even the Cards. I'm not worried about the Giants, but the Cardinals. But the Blue Jays are 1-7. Like, baseball's different, but should we overreact? What's happening with Toronto, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, the bottom line is they're just not hitting. Their big boys are not hitting yet. Obviously, Josh Donaldson has a calf injury, but Batista and Russell Martin, and you can go down this list to Lewinsky. It's just, you have to understand it is early, even though I know, I heard you coming in and you're like, hey, it's a week and a half into it. But baseball's such a weird sport because everything gets magnified at the early of the season, and that's normal. You throw up a 2 for 20, it's going to say really bad things on that scoreboard. But, I mean, throughout the course of the season, you go 2 for 20 probably 4 times. So when you start out struggling offensively, it's not fun because that scoreboard says 122 and 114 and 138. But I will say this, 162 games are ridiculous, and it's long. And you tell me you can't see the Blue Jays throwing up a 14-6 here pretty soon because that offense gets hot and then they just hit the ball with the fence everywhere. So they don't scare me because of their starting pitching. They don't scare me because they're starting pitching. Last year, I think they led, the American League in ERA. So that's why they don't scare me. And that offense is pretty darn good.
As a veteran, and that's got to be tricky because most of these ballparks now, it's blaring at you right in center field. Now batting Kevin Millar, 119. You know what you're hitting. You know when you're not hitting. You know when you're out of whack. But at what point, Kevin, in your career, do you kind of, you're always going to see it, but do you stop worrying about that early number staring? Does that ever go away?
No, I'll answer that honestly. Don't let all these players tell you, oh, man, I didn't know. We read, we know, we feel it, and that's normal, because the game now is, we're so embedded in numbers now. But your average and your ERA and your seeing, that, and you feel that. The nights that you're sleeping good, buddy, I tell you, Escobar for Anaheim sleeping great. He's hitting about 450. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are when you're sleeping peacefully. And right now I know Russell Martin for the Blue Jays is not sleeping great.
Mm-hmm.
I know Tulo's not sleeping great. So you know what you're hitting, and it goes on all year long. I think, obviously you get down into July and August where that average doesn't move. You can go over 8 and it moves 5 points.
Yeah.
True.
So
I think once you got 350 to 400 bats, then that's your year. You're having a good year or a bad year.
And the problem with when you have 400 bats under your belt, that you're going to have to basically go, 44, 110 to really get out of that miserable hole you built.
It really is.
Ugh.
That's why it is important at some point to get off to a decent start. But like I said, you see players all the time get high. You'll see like Votto's second half and Freddie Freeman's second half last year. They hit over 400.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So there's those stories. Then you see the guys that go off and have a great April. They hit 12, 13 home runs. And then you don't see them again. They're going to average 2 to 3 the next couple months. But it's nice to get a good start because you have that. At the end of the day, it's an average.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And by the way, Freeman was bolstered by the arrival of Kemp, and the numbers bear that out. I hear you. Talking to Kevin Millar, of course, here on Tiki and Tierney. All right, so let me ask you, maybe it's Tulowitzki. I don't know. Give me a player now. Maybe it's Miggy that's off to a bad start where you are truly concerned that it's not just a bad start, but maybe the beginning of the true visible erosion of bat speed?
I don't know if you could put your hand on a specific player, but I'll tell you this about that. When as a player going through it, you are young in your heart, but there is that transformation. And we keep talking about when the Angels signed Pujols, for instance, and it's going to be signed into his 42-year-old age. And, he was growing older as you watched him, but one of the greatest right-hand hitters we've ever seen, our game's ever seen,
Oh,
and
no
he's
doubt.
still doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he signed a 10-year deal. People are like, man, he's got, the plantar fasciitis problems, and he moves slow, and so you grow old bat speed, and if you lose a percentage here and there, your heart's still young. So as a player, to look in the mirror and know that I have to cheat on fastballs now that makes me susceptible to curveballs and breaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. That's what happens. You think you can hit. You think that everything's fine, but you have to start cheating a tick on the 95 to 96 instead of staying back to be able to hit that.
Yeah.
And then what happens now? Here comes the wrinkle. Here comes the off-speed pitch. So I don't know if there's one player you can say, oh, aha, it's happening. But there is that age where you lose your bat speed. I'm sorry. It's like golf. Look at it's a younger generation. You guys are 23, 24, hitting the ball 360 yards. And as the guys get older, Freddie Couple's still doing his thing, but his club hit speed's not the same.
Yeah.
And that's the way it gets to be as a hitter.
It's natural physical attrition. No, I'm with you. Ken Millar here on Tiki and Tierney. We had Soshan and we have Mike on at the start of every baseball season. Love Mike, and boy, he's been around forever with that team. It's crazy, and they're off to a good start. As you know, I remember saying to Tiki and some of our callers, I said, they're not ready to win. That's obvious. They don't have the arms yet, but I don't think they're going to be as terrible as people are positioning them to be. Now, obviously, 6-3, a little bit better than most people thought, but I think they're moving at least in the direction of being competitive on a nightly basis. Can they sustain this a little bit, or is this just complete fool's gold?
Brandon, I hope for the aspect of Mike Trout. I don't want to see this man play his career in Anaheim, and we're getting cheated as fans not seeing him in the postseason.
It's going to be terrible if that happens.
This is the greatest player in baseball. I love this kid. He plays the game the right way. He's just what you want as a franchise player. But the Angels, let's get back to that question. Remarkable start. Because on paper, it's going to be a long year because that starting rotation, like you said. It's going to be a long year. And that's just the way it is. To win in this league, you have to pitch. That's why the Rays did it with Madden for 4 to 5 years. They won 9+ games. You couldn't name another offensive player besides Evan Longoria. But they had David Price. They had James Shields. They had Scott Kashmir. They just kept pitching and pitching. So the Angels, on paper, are going to have a long year. I will say this, though. They are better. They're better than people think.
Yeah.
Because offensively, they went out and added a few guys here and there. Espinosa, next thing you know, you got Escobar and Trout and Pujols. And I love, the right fielder was a Cahill. Or, no, what am I trying to say? Anyways, you catch my drift, a little lefty.
It's about Calhoun, right?
Calhoun, yeah.
Yep.
Got Trevor Cahill in my brain. The thing about it is that you have a team that's better than people think. It's like Cincinnati Reds. They had the worst bullpen in the history last year. Look at this team right now with the ERA. I'm like, that's why you love Major League Baseball. The season starts, and you're like, they're better than we thought.
You really don't know. And speaking of the Reds, a kid Amir Garrett, who I do St. John's games, and he was on St. John's. He played Big East basketball, but he's a lefty who throws 96, and his stuff looks sustainable. I mean, there's some guys that get off to a good start because they're hitting corners and they're kind of fooling people. This guy's got, dead red heat. He's just blowing it by people.
That's it. And that's stuff you can't teach.
Yeah.
You can't teach velocity, and that's, the question a lot of over the years have been, what do you get in Colorado? What do you go for Coors Field? How do you bring in? They've tried Denny Nagels, they've tried changeups, they try sinkers, they try, and I asked Walt Weiss this a year ago. I go, what's the plan? How do you do this? I mean, who wins here? How do you guys get back to doing? He goes, bro, you got to get raw power. I think it's just raw power. You got to draft guys at 96, 97, 98 miles an hour because, he goes, Millsy, I mean, regardless of where you're at, that ball's by you. So that's a great point, what you said.
Yeah, but Ken, let me ask you that. Ken Millar with us here on Tiki and Tierney. I mean, I could have told you that sitting in the Bob Uecker seat after 9 beers. Obviously, you got to get guys that throw the baseball by people in Colorado. Why did it take so long for the revelation? Were you kidding me? That's basic stuff.
It's crazy because everybody's got different strategies, and I agree with you. Now, you and I sit back and go, that's just a layman could think of that. You get a guy draft guys. But you would be surprised at the scouting failures that go on in organizations. There's some fake scouts. There's some scouts that aren't good. Mm-hmm. Some organizations that are great. I mean, you look at the New England Patriots. I mean, they went out and had an offseason, and it looks like they lost the Super Bowl. Ugh. Some organizations just know how to win. They just do it right. They just keep going. They just keep going. They just keep going. Some scouts, organizations, and I'll give you an example, and not to rip, the Orioles at that time, but it was I'm ripping the Orioles at that time. We faced Clay Buchholz. It was the second start in the big leagues. Scouting the report, this right-hander coming up. It said fastball, curveball, slider. There wasn't even a changeup in this report. He threw a no-hitter against us, the second start in the big leagues in Fenway, and he was like 60% changeups to righties and lefties dominating us. I'm like,
wow.
At some point, there has to be a report, But yet in Boston, we had a report on Barry Zito. Every time he threw a curveball, it was like the 72% he came back with his changeup. So as a hitter, we have those reports. Those are nice to have, right? You're just playing percentages when you're in a batter's box facing somebody.
Yeah.
Throwing a 95. It's a cat and mouse game. You can't react to everything. So that's just an example. Drafting, not missing in June every year, and you see organizations do it over and over. I mean, Cleveland Browns haven't figured out how to draft a quarterback.
No, forget about them. Let me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, the Browns, please. Let me ask you this, Kev. Obviously, you're doing some stuff with SeatGeek, and school is not quite out yet, but people are going to be looking for good tickets on the cheap. And last second edition, SeatGeek.com. We know it. I actually have the app as well, but tell us what you're doing with it, buddy. What do you got?
It's the coolest app you can have. I have it also. You go to the app, get SeatGeek, get the SeatGeek app on your device, but you can go get any single entertainment, sporting event, whatever you need. It's a cool app because it tells you if you're getting a good deal or a bad deal on there. That's where I love the most. We'll save you $20 on your first purchase if you put the promo in Millar. But really, really, really cool app to go get any of your sporting events, entertainment, music, whatever you want. And it tells you who's coming in town, which is cool. You can click on it and kind of like, I got Adele coming in June. So really cool app, fun. Go do it, and I love it.
No doubt. But, hey, we'll tweet it out for you. As I said, I use it, but we'll get it out for you on our Twitter account, SeatGeek.com. Hey, keep doing your thing with Rosie, and I will be watching. We'll talk soon, Kev. Thanks, buddy.
Brad, appreciate you having me, buddy.
No doubt, man. Yep, back at you. Kev Millar.